Yo, what is going on YouTube? It is your boy Jeezy TV. Hopefully I don't lag through the whole fucking video because it's looking like my computer is fucking dog shit. I don't know why it's doing this. I don't know what is going on, but we are here with the 2000 American road sex comedy film directed by Todd Phillips and written by Scott Armstrong and Todd Phillips. We have Road Trip. Well, going on, ladies and gentlemen, we have a raunchy comedy film produced by DreamWorks. Can you believe it? I'll probably bring that up a couple of times in the video because that's not produced by but distributed by them. Just classic brash 2000s comedy, nothing like it. Nothing like this era of movies. We obviously see some familiar faces. You get Breckin Miller. He's been in all sorts of movies. Tom Miller, Sean William Scott was in the American Pie movies. We will review those soon. Don't you worry about that. He was in Dukes of Hazzard, Dude, Where's My Car, and many more. Obviously, Sean William Scott is probably one of the bigger actors in this movie. Not an A-list cast, but some cool actors here, and they all come together seamlessly to make a fun, roadie, comedic flick, and I think that's amazing. So we're going to get into the premise, the good, the bad, the okay. Give it a review. So getting into the premise, this movie follows a group of students who embark on an epic road trip from Ithaca, New York to Austin, Texas in a race against time to save their friend's relationship. This story is, in retrospect, as it's being told by 8th year student Barry Manilow, played by the hilarious Tom Green. He's been great. He's been in all sorts of movies, and is being told during a campus tour, which I thought was absolutely genius, and we'll kind of touch on that idea a little later in the review. Young man Josh, who's the main character played by Breckin Miller, picks up a girl at a wild fraternity party and films their raunchy antics. Somehow, the homemade movie gets mailed to his girlfriend in Texas instead of these other videos he was intending to send, like telling her he loves her and all this stuff, but instead he pretty much sends like a testimony that he fucking cheated. Now they must hit the road and encounter all walks of life. Can they handle it? Can the guys intercept the incriminating tape before it reaches her VCR? You will have to watch to find out. So getting into the good, this is probably the most good I've ever had to say for a movie. Like, this isn't the greatest movie in the world, but all the good things I have to say is it's incredible. I mean, you just have to start with the concept. Traveling almost 2,000 miles to save a long-distance relationship, all because the wrong tape, a sex tape, got sent to this childhood love interest of this kid. That's genius. And again, like I mentioned, the fact that it is being told as a story during a campus tour, and the tourists are like sort of getting into the story with these little cutscenes during the movie. It's awesome. I feel like that was perfectly integrated into the mix. Like, they perfectly did that. You know, you get just enough of that whole side of the story to where this isn't happening at the moment, but it is something so legendary that happened to some students on this campus that this super senior kind of loser Barry just had to tell it. Like, he had to live to tell the tale. It's awesome. I mean, although some of the humor is a bit immature and overused, we can talk about that a little later. It still has funny moments. Barry's grandpa getting high off marijuana while being on Viagra, and they visit his house. The whole sperm bank sequence.
How scientific on me, baby. And we can just talk. Whoa. Oh! Ah! Oh! Whoa! That was awesome.
This is a movie where you can take away some really iconic moments, and I feel like we didn't get that with Multiplicity as much as we did in this movie. And funny enough, this movie was like 20 minutes shorter, so for it to be this jam-packed, this iconic, I think that's amazing. Also, the character development and just the characters in general were great to me. I think the way they all meshed together, the way they all developed throughout the story, I think it was amazing. Were they cliche and were they a little generic? Of course, and you can say that about a couple of the characters, probably all of them, maybe not the main character as much. The fact that this movie makes the dynamic work so well between the four guys, I love it. I think it's absolutely incredible. You have Josh, this sort of like kind of preppy, slouchy, doesn't know what he's going to do with his life guy that gets in this crazy predicament. And you have EL, we can talk about EL a little bit later as a mixed element, who's sort of like a popular, douchey, kind of frat guy. Like, he is your prototypical Chad, he's your prototypical, like, absolute dickhead guy. But he's actually one of the more, like, likable types of people like this I've seen in any movie ever, and that just attests to kind of the character development of some of these guys. Like, he turns into an actually pretty likable guy by the end of the movie, like, I'm not gonna lie. Them pulling that off alone and making it believable was so amazing to me. Then you get Kyle, who's like the fun police, the goody two-shoes, the nerd with the strict parents, kind of the Karen, if you will, of the group. He's never had fun in his life. He just doesn't know how to live at all. Like, he just sits at school, does his work, and then goes home to his parents on breaks. That sort of person. He eventually comes out of his Michelle at this black frat house, which was a great storyline and a great detour on their little trip here. I think that's one of my favorite segments of the entire film. Then you have the know-it-all Rubin, who knows this handshake and gets him into the frat house for the night and uses physics to like get over this gap. They get over it, boom, the vehicle completely combusts and fucking explodes. A lot of funny moments come out of like him knowing everything. On the way back, on the road back, you know, obviously like their big thing is like, oh, Josh has to get back for his midterm or something. And he's like, oh, I can teach you ancient philosophy in a couple of days. Like, let's do it, you know. And all these things come together to make for a great movie. I mean, the amount of, and also, like a big thing, the amount of unique, fun characters they are able to introduce in this film without exhausting their resources or saturating things was just incredible. All the side characters, I think damn near every character in this movie is done well and executed well, and it just perfect to me. I think it's great. The blind lady that got the school bus stolen from her, throwing up the middle finger, he's like waving his hand in her face, and it's funny. Barry's grandparents, the nasty waiter who rubbed poor Kyle's sugary treats on his crotch, the black woman that got with Kyle at the frat, the Bubbles glasses having front desk guy at the motel. These are all characters that weren't just introduced as a subplot and just thrown to the side. These were characters who stuck around all the way until the end of the movie at times. And this movie did a great job at executing that. I know I had a lot of good things to say about this movie, but this movie is pretty fucking awesome. Getting into the bad, I'm gonna be honest, I don't see anything wrong with this movie. Like, yeah, it's not like the most artistic, yeah, it's not the most creative movie in the world, but that's not the purpose of the movie. So for the sake of that, it's not flawless, but there's nothing particularly bad about what I watch. So let's just mention some things in the okay. And if this is a short review, I apologize. I never intended it to be that way. It's just that it's a pretty simple movie, and there's a lot of good to say, not a lot of bad things to say. Getting into the okay, I'm not gonna lie. The only thing that will most likely go in here that is like even the slightest bit of a big deal, it's just the humor. It's definitely mixed. It's funny. The movie's funny. We've ran this marathon many times in the comedy world, and some of the things they go for just don't hit as good as they should. Like, obviously at the time in 2000, I'm sure this shit was hilarious. I'm sure every damn gag, every joke they pull off in this movie is fucking funny as shit. You don't get as much of a laugh out of it, you know, simply for the fact that we've just been there and done that. And again, I say this is an okay mixed aspect because it doesn't affect the movie in a positive or negative way. It's just kind of there. It's not necessarily something that's like on the movie. It's not the creator's fault. It's just oversaturation of like many movies, you know, after it and before it doing the same thing. Doesn't mean it's like, oh, these guys aren't unique, they're not creative. It's just, it got a rouse out of people for a while, but now, I don't know. Also, EL's character is just kind of meh. I like that his character developed, but he is definitely very NPC-ish, like, I'm not gonna lie. That's another thing I wanted to say. Not much going on there, but I don't know, it's weird.
What do you think, little man? Don't you ever want to experience something new? It ain't easy being Josh's penis. I mean, we've been here for over 2 months now, and I feel like I'm in a coma or something.
Stop it.
I wish I was your dick, EL, because this is torture. If something doesn't happen soon, I'm just gonna pack up my balls and leave.
Enough.
Hello?
Carl.
We are already at the review. Okay, tier list time. I forgot to say that in some of the prior videos, so my apologies. So, I feel like I remember watching this movie when I was younger, but I'm not sure, so let's just say this is a fresh first watch for me, and honestly, I never would have expected this film to be as good as it was. And for the creators of this movie to take an hour and a half and make it nothing but college comedic fun, it's great to me. I think this is a really good movie. Also, again, the film was distributed by DreamWorks. Like, I still think that is absolutely insane. Who would have thought? A company that brought you, like, Shrek and all sorts of these, like, Pixar films and cartoony animations, and now we get this raunchy comedy film, which obviously this happened before some of the movies I've mentioned. It's still crazy. I guess they're a distribution company. I guess they have to get their check. Amazing characters, good laughs, simple but funny concept, and just an absolute blast. It's movies like these that are the reason why I am a sucker for road trip comedies. I never really knew this before, but movies like this, and again, I keep bringing up Planes, Trains, and Automobiles because that's one of the best movies I've ever seen. If you ever want a movie to watch with the boys or with your family, parents and older siblings, I don't recommend you showing this to younger children. This is an amazing experience, and for that I give it an 8.5 out of 10. I think it was alarmingly amazing. I don't know if that's what I call it on the new tier list. I don't know. I always get these things mixed up. That is going to do it for the video. Content is going to be kind of unorthodox because I don't know how much I'm going to get done over the next few days. I don't really have that much schoolwork to do, but obviously I'm going to be busy doing other stuff. The next thing we're going to watch, I think, is Talladega Nights. I want to say I might start watching that tonight if I get to it, but I have to edit this video. I have about 45 minutes now and about a half hour after lunch to do it, so hopefully I get pretty far into that. I have about an hour of homework to do today. Not bad. I have to go to the store. I have to do all these sorts of things, so hopefully I get to some stuff. If we skip days, please don't be too mad. It is what it is.